Thank you so much for coming, everyone, and welcome to our panel, which is called Absurdity Sells, the Art of Playful Events. So my name's Rosie Freeman. I'm the co-director of the BritBox, which is an arts organisation based in Bradford, Yorkshire, in the UK. So these guys are going to be talking about what they do and about how they use absurdity and humour and ridiculousness as a tool in their work with people, and how you also might be able to learn some of their strategies from their spectacular successes, but also their gargantuan failures, and how to harness that power of absurdity for yourself.
So Rosie and I work in community and city development contexts. So in Britain we call that regeneration, but basically I think the best way to understand it is city and community development. And we use arts in all kinds of different ways to bring communities together, to share a sense of spirit and energy. And we often work in places where there's lots of challenges. So we tend to work in the inner city, and some of this footage is from an old closed down department store in a street where 90% of the buildings are shut down, and it's right in the centre of the city where we live and where we're based. It's a city of 500,000 people, so it's a big city centre, and yet this street is 90% empty. So a lot of the work that we do is in temporary spaces, in urban realm that is called things like dangerous, or it's got antisocial behaviour, it's got problems. So a lot of what we do is about celebrating communities and trying to take away some of the negative labels that have been given to communities. In terms of motivation, both of us are untrained and on the loose, so we have no arts backgrounds at all. We just decided to do art and share art. We've worked a lot in the past with people with all kinds of issues, sort of trying to come off substances and that kind of thing. And the only thing that, in our experience, really works for people is expressing creativity is something that can really change people's lives. So we feel that away from institutions, it's not to say that institutions shouldn't exist, but there's something very special and magical about working in spaces where anyone can join in. It's completely free, and we, just kind of encourage everyone to be part of the event. So it's very immersive, very participatory, very multicultural, multi-generational, and really a lot of spirit and energy that we're trying to share, especially in places that might be feeling unloved across the world. We work nationally and internationally, so not just in Bradford, but we work in London, we're doing a project in Helsinki soon, and we're delighted to be here in Texas, so it's very exciting. A lot of the results that we have are very serious results, so we have a lot of spend in the local economy. We drive footfall to spaces. We collect lots of data at our events, so although the events themselves might look playful and absurd, actually the results we get are very crunchy, and we can go to local government with those statistics and prove that there is value in what we do, which is how we get repeat business. We often get most of our work from local governments who need to achieve certain outcomes, and if we didn't collect the data at our events, we wouldn't be able to prove that our events work. So we use footfall counters and those kind of things to prove that, we've had thousands of people attending some of these events. And these are in places where normally they're completely empty and kind of vacuums and devoid of activity.
Yeah,
the end.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, and Richard, can you do the same?
Hello, I'm the award-losing Richard DeDomenici, and I specialise in anarcho-surrealist, urban absurdist interventions to create the kind of uncertainty that leads to possibility. This performance caused so much uncertainty that the police confiscated my torch. The Redux project started by accident in 2013 when my low-budget site-specific recreation of scenes from a Bangkok rom-com received better reviews than the original. Since then, I've made more than 60 Reduxes around the world in the original locations and starring local amateur participants with organisations including the National Theatre, the British Council and Sydney Festival, and the BBC, in which I made 10 Reduxes of classic BBC clips at the old TV Centre in London on live television. It's site-specific, participatory and inexpensive, and I film and premiere my mini-masterpieces within days. And though it's a repeatable format, it's always a completely unique experience. I've never brought the project to the USA, but here are some ideas for the USA. Those are the two films I want to make in Dallas, the best and worst science fiction films ever made. in Dallas. And I hope that by making fake versions of things that are themselves inherently fake, that we'll somehow arrive at a greater truth. In the context of recent political upheavals, last year at Tate Modern, I exhibited Shed Your Fears, in which participants are invited to share their innermost fears in a wooden box, and by sharing, hopefully transcending them. Some people came out in tears, and although it was designed for strangers, it also worked for them. Sometimes when I don't know how to change the world, I just digitally compose myself and other performance artists into the 1988 American National Dance Aerobics Championships. I live in London, which is increasingly resembling a phallocentric game of architectural Tetris and has the most overpriced housing in the world. That's why I'm currently developing a satirical range of 3D printed London skyscraper adult toys in a project I'm calling Genital Trification. To tackle rising rents, I've built these lightweight replica street utility cabinets that can be used as Bijou live workspaces. We'd have to wrap them in cling film or saran wrap in Austin. The next version will be the size of a house and has the potential to destabilise the property market. Nitcoin, an innovative cryptocurrency made by learning a proprietary crocheting method. Each Nitcoin employs a unique security feature to prevent money laundering. I've got some here if anyone wants one. Tent orgies. Last year, a discreet, abstract, after-dark illuminated installation consisting of silhouetted footage of people engaged in the physical act of love projected onto the side of a tent from a hidden video projector inside. I plan to expand the size of both the tent and the orgy in future versions. So, in conclusion, art can be pedagogical. It prepares the consciousness for new possibilities and, in the best cases, moves people to action. And by watching this performance, your minds have also been changed, because the cumulative effects of lots of small, absurd anomalies can be huge. Thank you.
Excellent. And Henri, can you tell us a bit about what you do and why you do it?
Yes, these days I'm VP of Partnerships and Events for the Alamo Drafthouse. This is our location here in Austin. We're basically a chain of dine-in cinemas. We have 30 locations across the U.S. right now, including flagships in markets like San Francisco, Brooklyn, and we actually will be opening in Los Angeles. I know we've been talking about it for a long time, but we will, and it'll be in there. I have been with the company for 17 years, since we were still just a single screen location on Colorado Street. I think the strangest thing that I did was I did a monthly reality dating show that was only aired in the theater, which kind of sounds fun. I was fascinated. Like, this was 2002. There was still like blind date kind of shows on late night TV, and I was fascinated at what would happen if it was regular people and not wannabe actresses and models. And it turns out you spend a lot of time putting together and producing a video for maybe 200 people, and you can never really show it again. So you waste a lot of time, and that's dumb. But the last one that I did, one of the contestants also ended up becoming my wife, and that was really fun. So then I also started all of our movie parties and quote-alongs, where we host screenings of our favorite movies and give them like an interactive Rocky Horror Picture Show feel, except we don't let people heckle and yell out jokes, and we don't do shadow casts. We did this was a licensed subtitled version of Labyrinth that we did with Sony and the Henson Company that we've done in our theaters, and we also toured around the world. I think we've done a couple in the UK also. Now I also oversee our Rolling Roadshow initiative, which is our large-scale outdoor events, anything that's non-theatrical, which includes this Sound and Cinema series. My crew is actually out at the Long Center, where this photo is taken right now, doing the Cartoon Network. Last summer, we did Close Encounters of the Third Kind at Devil's Tower in Wyoming and managed to get 700 people to travel out there and join us. We did this screening of RoboCop in Dallas, where we had talent, and then we live streamed that out everywhere. I'm sorry we hadn't met yet, Richard. We could have done so much Redux stuff.
For the 40th anniversary.
For the 40th anniversary, yeah, for sure. And then I'll also do little things like just throwing pirate parties whenever Disney forces another Pirates of the Caribbean on the world, and Jaws on the Water, where attendees watch Jaws while floating on inner tubes. Here's a little like behind the scenes on that too. This was our last summer where we moved it to this new location. Yeah, so a lot of fun stuff. I think one of the most absurd things, though, is that we have a company where I can have a career doing those kind of things. But I think that that's part of why we're known internationally, obviously, and it doesn't necessarily help sell tickets to tonight's showing of Black Panther, but it helps the entire experience.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and on that note, I love it that you met your wife at one of your events. That's brilliant. What a great result. Thank you so much for listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.